You know, everyone loves a wombat. They're these sturdy, burrowing icons of the Australian bush. But behind all those cute videos, there's a hidden story. It's a story of an intense, round-the-clock struggle. A recent study has pulled back the curtain on the volunteers who are fighting to save them, and what it reveals is a staggering personal cost. So let's dive in.
So what does it really take? I mean, it's got to be more than just good intentions, right? We're talking about a massive investment of time, of money, and frankly, a whole lot of emotional energy. Let's break down what that actually looks like on the ground.
Okay, so first things first. To really understand the rescuers, we have to understand the dangers. Why are so many of these tough little animals ending up in need of critical care to begin with?
Well, the study went straight to the carers on the front lines, and the reasons they gave are just heartbreakingly consistent. The number one cause? Vehicle collisions. No big surprise there, sadly. After that, it's a devastating skin disease called sarcoptic mange, which is caused by these parasitic mites. And finally, you've got attacks, either from dogs or even other wombats. These are the big three threats that get that rescue call started.
And when that call comes in, this incredible group of people steps up. And we're not talking about some government agency. This is a volunteer army, and it's fueled by pure passion.
So yeah, who are these people really? The study gives us this fascinating snapshot, a real profile of this volunteer army.
The first thing that just jumps right out of the survey data is the gender breakdown. The vast majority of these wombat carers, a full 86% of the people who responded are women.
And it's not just gender. In terms of age, the largest single group is between 54 and 65 years old. Now let that sink in. Many of these folks have been doing this for over 15 years. This is not some casual hobby. It's a long-term, deeply felt commitment, shouldered by experienced and incredibly dedicated people. So when they were asked, why do you do this? The reasons were pretty much what you'd expect. You know, a passion for animals. But one response just stood out and really captured the core motivation for so many of them. They do it, in their own words, to repair the damage of humans. Wow. That really puts everything into perspective, doesn't it? But that powerful motivation, well, it comes at a very, very high price. We're talking beyond the emotional toll. The financial and time costs are just immense. Okay, get ready for this number. The study estimated that the average cost to care for just one adult wombat is 456 Australian dollars every single month. And here's the real kicker. The vast majority of that is coming directly out of the volunteers' own pockets.
And if you think the money is a lot, let's talk about time. For Joey's, it's even more intense. Most carers are spending more than 10 hours a week on them. I mean, with some of these little guys needing feeds every 2 to 4 hours, it's essentially an unpaid, part-time job that never, ever sleeps.
And if you're wondering where that money goes, this table breaks it down. Feeding, that's the single biggest expense. But right behind it, you have housing, enclosures, blankets, heat packs. Then there's essential medicine for illnesses and injuries, and of course, vet bills. It just adds up incredibly fast.
All of this sacrifice, all this money and time, it raises a really crucial question. With such limited resources, where is all that effort best spent? And this study reveals this really stark difference in the outcomes for adult wombats versus the orphan joeys.
Which, of course, leads us to the most important question of all. Does it actually work? Is this incredible investment of time and money leading to successful outcomes? Well, the answer is complicated, and it seems to depend entirely on the age of the wombat. Just look at this contrast. It's night and day. According to the majority of carers they surveyed, the chance of an adult wombat recovering after coming into care is very unlikely. The trauma, the injuries, they're often just too severe. But for joeys, the ones who are orphaned and then raised by a carer, successful rehabilitation and release back into the wild is considered very likely. This finding is absolutely fundamental. It explains why so much effort is poured into saving the youngest animals.
You know, this kind of on-the-ground experience gives these carers a really unique perspective, not just on individual animals, but on the whole system of wildlife conservation. And their views, well, let's just say they're pointed.
So, an overwhelming 86% of carers believe that their hands-on practices, the actual work of rescuing and rehabilitating, are effective. They have total faith in their own work. They know what they're doing makes a difference. But, and this is a huge but, when you ask them if improving government policies is an effective way to conserve wombats, the story just completely flips. A massive 73% said it was unlikely to work.
They talk about a lack of enforcement, a system that just fails to protect the animals out in their natural habitat. So they believe in their work, but they absolutely do not believe in the system that's supposed to be supporting it.
So what do they think is the solution? Well, the carers' priorities are crystal clear. First, protect the wombat populations that are already in decline. And second, and this was a huge theme in the study, they believe the absolute key is to educate the public about why these animals are so important in the wild.
One carer framed their motivation just perfectly. They said, "We have an ethical obligation to help all wildlife survive the Anthropocene age." And the Anthropocene, that's the era we're in right now, where human activity is the main driver of change on the entire planet. So for them, this isn't just about saving a cute animal, it's about fulfilling an ethical duty in an age defined by human impact.
Which brings us right back to that incredibly powerful quote. These volunteers are spending their time, their money, and their emotional energy to repair the damage. So the question this whole thing leaves for the rest of us is pretty simple. What is our role in preventing that damage in the first place?